So, Dave, we've both spoken about the effortless experience and the research they've done over at CEB, and that has really informed our thinking because, like I said, in a commodity, a mortgage is money. That's a commodity. We all sell them to the same places, the same stuff. But the user experience is not a commodity at all. And so that's what we focused on. And so we've really leveraged the work over at CEB on the effortless experience and that what customers want is less, they want to get what they want with less effort. But what was groundbreaking to me that changed everything was when they said the following stat: 60% of customer effort scores are the client's perception of effort, not actually how much
Right.
effort that it took. And so that's where the customer experience really becomes customer service to kind of curate and do that. And technology can augment that, but it's really when something goes wrong, do we have the skills, the empathy and the compassion to help that customer get there? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this idea of the
Well,
effortless experience.
so I think that at play, all that counts is perception. Reality doesn't count. So, what I see a lot of people doing is designing these very good buying experiences, buying journeys, designing these very good customer service journeys, and so on and so forth, and all. But as good as those are, if the customer's perception is different, they're wasting their time. So in effortless experience, you start thinking about things like I'm designing this great telephone response system. I was actually on one before we got on this call, going through press 4, if you're doing this, press 5, and so on and so forth, navigating this tree that was supposed to be very efficient and get me to the right person at the right time. But the real issue is I never should have picked up the phone and had to call them in the first place. And what Effortless Experience says, how do we make this effortless? Picking up the phone and experiencing a great customer experience with very cordial reps that answer my question and so on is an annoyance. I shouldn't have had to pick up the phone in the first place. Now we translate this into selling. How do I look at the same lessons in selling? And in some of the later CEB work, you've probably seen some of this thing they call the chaotic buying process for complex sales. And it's this eye chart that says, we used to think the buying process was linear. Well, it looks like a spaghetti diagram when you look at it, and you bounce all over the place. And the customers are confused. They get lost in their own buying experience, the buying process. So how do we start looking at making the buying process effortless? How do we start helping the customer navigate their own buying process and their own buying journey in ways that, I hadn't thought of it that way, or, oh boy, this is really helpful because it's addressing something that we haven't considered before. And I don't know what the next step is. What would you recommend? I see this happening over a period of time, and it's interesting because the CEB guys and I've been kind of lobbying them to say you need to change your perspective. Is what the salesperson does is we start looking at this complex, very turbulent world, becomes a sense maker. How do we help the customer make sense of what they're trying to achieve, how to navigate their journey, and how to do that much more effectively?